What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Soccer for Dummies. As usual, I am your host, Scott Lewis. Please subscribe to the channel right now to check out everything we got going here on my YouTube channel. Please follow me at Scott on all social media platforms and subscribe to the Patreon. All those links in the description box. The subscribe button is right here on your YouTube app or your YouTube TV, wherever the hell you watching this at. Please get in tune with everything we're doing. Full transparency, people. This is the third time I'm recording this episode. This is dropping on Tuesday the 2nd. But I'm recording this on Monday the 1st, and it's taken me to my third try to do this because in the middle of me recording the first one, 10 minutes in, news broke that Arsenal owners, the Cronkies, their other team that they own, the Los Angeles Rams, are traded for the best edge in the NFL, Myles Garrett. They got right off that Arsenal parade bus and realized we don't want to stop winning in any of the teams we own. I gotta respect it. So yeah, I had to pick my jaw off the floor. Pause, because I couldn't believe what I was reading. And then when I tried to record a second time, the group chat just kept blowing up. More trade details started coming in. I couldn't focus, but I've got a very tight schedule Tuesday or today as you're watching this, and I knew I wouldn't be able to record this in the same day either. So we're gonna get through this anyway. As a Bears fan, it frightens me. It frightens me. As an Arsenal fan, I'm very happy because it's like the Cronkies are going to spend a bag this offseason on this attack and this team. So this is not an NFL podcast. You want to hear me talk about the NFL? You know, I've got 1,000 other things, 1,000 other shows that you can watch me talk about the NFL and things like that. But today we're here to talk about Arsenal Football Club. This is the penultimate episode of Soccer for Dummies. I got one more episode coming next week, which will drop on the 10th. Me and the homie Tosin will be doing World Cup for Dummies. This is my first World Cup that I will be watching. So he's going to come on there, preview all the things that we should be looking forward to, the teams that are contenders to win the World Cup, and ultimately who he thinks will win the World Cup. If you are a vet to the sport and you know everything, check it out. If you're new to the sport, this is for you. Come check it out and get a little, crash course on how to expect the world's biggest tournament to go down over these next 2 months here, man. The thing here, man, I want to talk about Arsenal winning the league. I want to talk about the Champions League final, and I want to talk about the future of what's on stake here for Arsenal, man. But this is my first full Premier League season front to back in the books. Later on this episode, I will be doing my top 5 things that I learned in my first full Premier League season. Last year when I became a fan like March of 2025, and I came in with like 8 matches left in the Premier League season. The Premier League race was already over. Liverpool was running away with it. Arsenal had no chance to get back in it. But they were just about to start that epic quarterfinal round against Real Madrid in the Champions League last year. My first game watching was against Fulham when Bukayo Saka came back from his 3-month injury of that hamstring. And it has been a long 15 months. I would lie to you and tell you that it's been enjoyable. Parts of it have been enjoyable, but it has been the most stressful and the most emotionally taxing season I've ever watched, rooting on for any of my teams. But I'm just glad it ended on the right note with that Premier League title, because I don't know what I would think right now if we'd have lost the Champions League final on Saturday and we would have bottled the league. That might have finished me early. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Like, that's a lot to take. I'm lying. I would have kept watching. But that's a lot to take. But I just found myself, man, like thinking the other day, like, man, I picked the right club. Because all my other teams that I root for, the Bears, the Bulls, the White Sox, even though I'm not a practicing Bulls and White Sox fan because of my Reinsdorf boycott. And for those of you who don't know those reasons why I boycott them, I have a video on this great channel that explains all of that. But those teams I got birthed into. You know, I had no choice but to be a Bears fan because my entire family was Bears fans. The city of Chicago is nothing but Bears fans. You know, you might got that a little annoying friend or a family member who's not a Bears fan because they want to be different. They want to be an extra ass nigga. But for the most part, 98% of my family were all Bears fans. I had no choice in the matter. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. The first baseball game I ever went to was a White Sox game. I think they played the Rays. I think they were called the Devil Rays at the time. I got an autographed Frank Thomas mitt. They won the World Series on my 17th birthday. I had no choice in picking the Chicago White Sox. You know what I'm saying? The Chicago Bulls, the reason I am a fan of sports to begin with. The first ever sports game that I ever remember watching in my life. I was 8 years old watching the 1996 NBA Finals with the Bulls and the Seattle Sonics, and I saw the Bulls lift up their fourth NBA championship, and I saw Michael Jordan, and just saw how great he was, and I was like, wow, what is this? It's like I was somebody who saw electricity for the first time. I was just blown away, and I've been a sports diehard ever since. I had no choice in picking the Chicago Bulls. Everybody rooted for the Chicago Bulls around the world, damn near, especially in Chicago, growing up in that Bulls era. But in a sport that I had honestly no access to, and that's the whole reason I started this podcast, so y'all can see my growth from when I started. Before this was even a podcast, when it was just a segment on I'm Not Gonna Hold You, when I didn't know what anything meant in soccer, and I watched it. I decided to watch it because I was kind of bored one day, and I watched the David Beckham documentary. And y'all notice I've told this story about 3-4 times, so I'm not gonna tell it again. But I fell in love with the sport, and I was like, I'm gonna pick a club. And I saw one episode of the Arsenal All or Nothing episode, All or Nothing Amazon show, and even though that was a season they were huff and they barely missed out on Champions League, I was like, this is the club for me. Something about Mikel Arteta that stood out to me. Now I knew him from the All or Nothing. The first ever docu series I watched was the All or Nothing 17-18 Man City team, the Centurions. And because Pep was a coach that I had heard of. I didn't know too much about Pep, but I seen Pep in a lot of memes and a lot of gifs. So I was like, let me watch something on a guy who is recognizable to me. And I kind of learned about the grind of a Premier League season. They had that great 100-point season. But Mikel Arteta stood out to me. He was the head coach that you always see. He was assistant coach that you will always see Pep talking to, and he had this great relationship with. So when I watched All or Nothing Arsenal, and I was like, oh, he's the head coach of Arsenal. And there was a certain things in the first 2 episodes where I saw how much he loved the club and how he believed in the club and building the foundation for what will be realized 5 years later to when they will become Premier League champions. And there was just something about Mikel. I was like, I believe in that dude. And then I went on and, I just loved the history of the club, the black history of the club, the ethnic history of the club in general, which I think you really saw this past weekend at the parade. Was Arsenal is a team, but is a culture team. It's the streets team, the team of the club of the people. You saw so many races out there. And I'm not gonna sit and act like this is the only sports team to do that, but I definitely think it's a unique thing in the Premier League, 100%. And just around the world, you've seen all of these different reactions to them winning the league. They had a fake parade in Kenya to celebrate it, because they knew that the players weren't coming there. They weren't going to see the Premier League trophy. They threw their own parade. There was a march in Indonesia. You saw the Premier League put up a video of reaction to when City drew to Bournemouth when we officially became champions. You saw reactions in Uganda, in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Indonesia, in Japan, and all across the United States, obviously in London and the UK. And it just shows you how just massive of a club it is. And you really saw it this weekend in the parade. And it just made me proud to be an Arsenal fan because I feel like I picked the right club. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of new fans coming in. I'm a new fan. But, for me, y'all know I get obsessive about stuff. And I know so much about it because I was happy. I was watching the parade at home, and I think I enjoyed it a lot more watching at home than I would have been actually being there. I've been to championship parades before. And I feel like championship parades are fun when you're young enough to enjoy, and not to say that there's an age limit, obviously not, but I don't want to be walking around and being around a whole bunch of musty folks and shit like that. But let's just say I had more fun watching them, say all that. But it made me think man, I picked the right club. It's not even about the winning, because if I was going to be a glory hunter, I definitely wouldn't have picked Arsenal. If I was going to be a glory hunter, I'd have picked Liverpool, I'd have picked City. So that wasn't it. I went out of my way to not choose them too, because Liverpool had such a strong points lead. By the time I started watching this, I'm not finna be that dude who picks the team who's the defending champion. And I didn't pick City because they've been dominant so long. Like, well, I'm not going to be that guy. I wanted to relate to struggle a little bit because I'm a Chicago sports fan. And honestly, that's all we know is struggle. And I did more research on uh, Arsenal and things like that. And I was like, yeah, man, this is the club for me. And, for this season, I will not sit up here and lie and say that it was enjoyable to watch. I think even the most positive Arsenal fan, I consider myself a positive Arsenal fan. There was moments during the season where I had doubt that we could get it done. I think the draw to Wolves, I think the loss to Bournemouth, the loss to City, a lot of people got off the bandwagon. I wobbled, but I never fell down. And the Cedar journey went on. Despite the fact they won the Premier League, I'm not going to sit up here and act like it was a fun watch. It wasn't. Every game felt like life or death. This is a very average attack that I know is going to be the number one thing they're going to clean up this offseason. I mean, Mikel said it himself at the podium after losing to PSG that they had to make some changes there. But I say all that to say this, man, that I picked the right club, and I feel like this journey and everything that I've gone through as a fan, let me fall in love with the club even more. And I can't wait to see what else is going on. Before we get into the specifics of the season and things that I learned, I want to talk about the Champions League final. And I want to talk about the hate that is around Arsenal Football Club. I have never rooted for a team that was universally hated as much as Arsenal is. Like, yeah, people hated the Bulls in the 90s if you weren't from Chicago, but I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? When the Bulls won their sixth title, I was like 3 months away from being 10 years old. I was a kid. So, yeah, I remember things about those runs. I remember the parades, going to the parades and stuff like that as a kid. I remember getting the championship shirts. I remember the big moments, like the Steve Kerr game winning three, the flu game, the mailman don't do that. I remember all of that stuff very vividly as a kid, but I don't remember what the climate was like, what the media was saying, what people were saying about it. Only thing I knew was when I moved to Indiana for like 2 years in the mid '90s, and all my friends I had in Indiana, they couldn't stand the Bulls because they were Pacer fans, but I didn't have like a pulse on what that stuff was because I was a kid. But the Bears aren't hated. I think the Bears get loser tax because they've been bad for so long. So you get a lot of media and a lot of fans who just I guess pity the Bears, and you might be a little bit unfair analysis from that point. Nobody cares about the White Sox. Let's be 100% honest about it. The Bulls have been long gone of being cared about. So I never rooted for a team that everybody hates. I'm talking about to the point where if I even tell a stranger I'm an Arsenal fan, if they're not an Arsenal fan themselves, they're going to give me the biggest eye roll. And that's why I named this episode The Unbearables, because that's what I want to call this team. Thierry said if they won the Champions League, they'll be called the Unforgettables, because obviously they're the Invincibles. They're not the Unforgettables because they didn't win the Champions League. Let's just keep it above. Not to say they're not. This team will always remember. These guys are all Arsenal legends now, and they deserve to be Arsenal legends. But it's not like, they could have had the greatest season in club history had they just made 2 more penalty shots than PSG, and that's what it comes down to. But the collective hate that I have witnessed all season from British media, American media, the way they talk about the club, I've never seen it before. And I know that there's hated teams in America. Nobody likes the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody likes the New England Patriots. Nobody likes the Boston Celtics. A lot of people don't like the Los Angeles Lakers. Nobody likes the Yankees. Nobody likes the Dodgers. But I don't think any of that in any era on my time on this earth is even touching the hate the Arsenal Football Club on. Like, they really have – you have rival – and no, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm above a good hate watch, because I'm not. I've hate watched the Green Bay Packers more times than I can count. And most of them were years when we were absolutely shambolic. So I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm above hate watching. I spent years hate watching LeBron James, and it was some good times. I spent years hate watching the Chicago Cubs doing their run when they were good. So I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I don't do it, or it's like I'm above criticism or people hating on my team. No, but it's weird, bro. I think a lot of people don't even hate Arsenal. They're just doing it because it gets clicks and they want to be a part of something, because the average person wants to be a part of something. And I feel like that a lot of it is just It's weird. Like a lot of people, I feel like hate Arsenal when they love their own club. Like the reaction to us losing the Champions League was very weird. It wasn't your usual hate watch, ha ha ha, yo Champions League, you'll never seen that. I can deal with that. It was just awkward. It was very awkward. So it changed the way how I looked at it as a fan. I was somebody, obviously being new to the sport, you learn about different rivalries and things like that. And my number one op is Chelsea Football Club. I hate everything about that club. I hate everything about that club. I hate their fans. I hate the players. I just don't like anything about them. And the number two is Manchester United. I got a lot of Manchester United homies. In fact, majority of my homies who do watch this sport are one of two things. They're either Arsenal fan or they're Manchester United fan. And they some stuck back in the day ass niggas. And it was and the Spurs. Like nobody cares about them. Like honestly, I respect they hate. Y'all supposed to hate us. But it just got weird for me. And so I have been, obviously my first year I try to talk to as many people as possible so we can, I can learn things. But now I'm on that. I'm on that with y'all next year. I'm on that. Not only do I know what it is, it doesn't matter what Arsenal do. It don't even matter if we do won the Champions League. They're gonna find some stick to beat us with. And yeah, I'm enjoying the piece right now. I'm not talking about this club, but let's be very clear about one something. The moment the World Cup ends in mid-July, you're gonna start hearing things. Like, do people still even remember Arsenal's championship post World Cup? If you don't repeat, does it mean anything? Arteta can't be a great manager unless he wins a Champions League too. Because great managers win Champions League, have European heritage and then European pedigree. We're gonna hear all that bullshit. Let's be very clear about it. So now that I know that, now that I've lived through 15 months of that, and I know what it is with that, I know what time y'all on with us fans. I know what time I'm finna be on with y'all now. It's fuck all of y'all. It's if you're not an Arsenal fan, you are my enemy. Okay, I will be unbearable from here on out. And the fact that we are Premier League champions gives me more bulletproof armor to be unbearable for sure. But even if and when we're not, I'm still gonna talk because I know whatever we do, y'all gonna make y'all angry. So I'm gonna give you something to be angry about. The target ain't on Arsenal back next year. The target is on y'all's because you gotta try to stop us. So that's what time I'm on with y'all. Now I know I feel like I'm deviating from my point, but my point is the reaction when we lost to PSG was weird. It was weird. You have Liverpool fans and City fans wearing PSG shirts and singing Champions of Europe. You'll never seen that in PSG scarves and PSG coats. Y'all do know this is the same PSG that eliminated both of y'all from the tournament. PSG put 8 goals on Chelsea's head tops. PSG beat Liverpool at the crib, went to Anfield, slutted them out real quick. And y'all got the unmitigated gall to do that nasty stuff. Look, I didn't want Chelsea or City to win the FA Cup. If it was up to me, that whole Wembley would have got nuked if it was up to me. But unfortunately, it's not up to me. I will never, in all of my years of having top ops in sports, and y'all know Aaron Rodgers. I hate Aaron Rodgers more than I actually hate the Green Bay Packers, which somebody asked me the other day. They're synonymous with each other, but as a human being, I do not like Aaron Rodgers. I think he is a piece of shit human. Forget being a football player. He's a piece of shit human. So as much as I hate Aaron Rodgers, as much as I hate the Green Bay Packers, I don't hate neither one of them more than I love the Bears. And I think a lot of people hate Arsenal when they love their club. And I just think it's the ultimate weirdo thing to me. So it was embarrassing. But the game itself, I was gutted when it happened. But overall, I'm kind of over it. And I know that sounds weird. And I think I'm kind of over where I can live with the loss. And I'm not a moral victory guy whatsoever. There's winners and what did Ari Gold say on I think season 1 or season 2 of Entourage? Baby, there's winners and losers in life. There's scoreboards. And our scoreboard currently reads fucked. But there's winners and losers in life. And I don't do more victories, but we truly tried our best. One bozo move from Mosquera that sent Dembele to the penalty line to hit the equalizer. But I really can't even blame Mosquera. The referees decided after we were doing our dark arts at the end of the first half, we're not allowing y'all to do that anymore. We're going to play this game tight. We're not going to let you be the aggressors anymore. From the moment that he told Saka that no, you can't take your corner kick because you're taking too long to see the kick. But I watched a lot of football in the last 15 months. I ain't never seen that. And I'm not sitting up here blaming the referee saying that's the reason we lost. No. Reason we lost is because of one word or two words, attacking quality. PSG is able to play as badly as they play. Let's be real. They play bad on Saturday and win. We don't have the attacking quality to be able to do that. So I think Mikel Arteta put together a genius plan that, took the most strength out of what we do well as a club. And I think we tried our best. I mean, if you told me before the game that you were going to lock down Ousmane Dembele, that you were going to lock down Kvaratskhelia, I would like really won. And, it came down to them penalty kicks. And honestly, I've only seen a couple penalty shootouts in my time being a fan. It's only my second one as an Arsenal fan. The first one was in the Carabao Cup quarterfinal where we beat Crystal Palace. But once you get the penalties, bro, it's in God's hands, bro. Like, X's and O's, who played well, who didn't play well, all that goes out the window when it comes down to penalty kicks. You know what I'm saying? It comes down to penalty kicks. And, I don't want to blame Eze and I don't want to blame Big Gabby, because we're not here without those two. We don't make it to Budapest without those two. We don't win the Premier League without those two. And I feel really bad for Big Gabby because he's one of the original core five of guys who are here. Like when I watched the Amazon special, he's one of 5 players who are on that team who's still there now. It's Big Gabby, Bakayo, Martin Odegaard, who else was on there? Ben White. I know I'm missing one more. He's escaping me. Anyway, there was 4 or 5 guys. William Saliba was on the team, but he was out on loan at the time. So he didn't deserve that. I felt he was man of the match. He's played a lot of gold star, world class matchups in my time as an Arsenal fan, but that was the best. He literally laid it all on the pitch. And before it come down to him, I just felt it was unfortunate. And I'll get to my real problem with that in a minute. And I personally don't like when footballers do that little hezzy move before they hit a penalty. I knew he was going to miss that before he took it. I could tell in his eyes he was going to miss that. And that's not to say he's soft or anything. No, these I couldn't imagine the pressure that he was feeling getting ready to take that kick. But it reminded me of something that Mark Jackson said on that 30 for 30, which was about the Pacers comeback against the Knicks in the 1994 Eastern Conference semifinals, I think it was. Eastern Conference. Whatever. I don't know which year it was. Anyway, 94, 95. I think it was 95. And Mark Jackson said, I looked him in his eyes. He wanted no parts of them free throws. I looked in Eze's eyes. He wanted no part of that penalty kick. But I can't blame him for it. It was a shambolic miss. But the biggest issue I have is Big Gabby should have never been taking that kick. Shouldn't have been taking that kick. It's simple as that. Now, I don't know if this is 100% confirmed, but I've heard that Noni Madueke and Martin Zubimendi didn't want to take the kicks. And if that's true, it's absolutely shameful. I want both of them off. If that's true, I want both of them off this club. Because grow a set. I did a video about the Bear Stadium yesterday, and I said the Bears need to grow a set. If that's true, and I'm saying big if, allegedly, I do not know. This could be crap. It sounds true, because what's the other reason that Big Gabby would take the final penalty? And who allowed him to take the penalty? I know he's a grown man, and he's the leader, one of the leaders of this team. He said, hey, guys, I'm putting it on my shoulders, and I'm taking this kick. Much respect to him. Nobody shouldn't allow that. You sit down. I'd rather have Saliba kick that than him. So I just feel, if that is true, and I think it is, then Madueke and Zubimendi, shameful. But it is what it is. It was tough. They played well. I'm not mad at PSG. Like, PSG's a great team, great side, great players, best attack in Europe, and I can sleep well at night knowing we nullified them. And that makes me feel confident for the next time we play them. We're gonna beat them. And it didn't bother me that much because, like I said, I didn't want to call this there's nothing free hit about the Champions League final, because you don't know when you're going to be back. You really don't know. It's an extremely tough tournament for a reason, but I always had my question marks this year about could we win the Champions League because of attacking quality. I said back in December on my Twitter page that I didn't care if this club won the treble, that there needed to be massive upgrades on the front line. The quality is just not there. People who think that Arteta can't teach an attack, that he's having the handbrake on, you're stupid. I mean, just look at the 22, 23, 23, 24 season. It's very clear he knows how to teach an attack. Those teams, just go back to the theme of every video I've done these last 24 hours, didn't have the cojones. And they fumbled and crumbled in big moments that they survived in this year. And that was the issue. So I can live with that loss. I do believe we're going to be back. I don't know if we're going to win it next year. I do believe within the next 3 seasons, Big Ears is coming back home. Big Ears is coming to N5. I say coming back home. It's never been here. But and then it goes back to what I was saying about the trolling. Like Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, Spurs talking about the club is one thing. Spurs' most hated rival. I respect every ounce of hatred that they have because that's something that I just lost my train of thought. But the point of what I'm saying is that when it comes to the hate, that's what I was saying, the haters. Spurs, I respect it because y'all hate us. You're supposed to hate us. It don't matter what the situation is. It don't matter if you're about to be relegated. You're supposed to hate us. Like, I don't give a damn if the Packers could turn water into wine. I'm going to hate them forever. I don't care if they fed every hunger crisis in the world. I will always hate the Green Bay Packers. When I die, my final words will be fuck the Green Bay Packers. So I think when it's a blood feud like that, I don't care about Spurs hating. I respect it. In fact, if they didn't hate us, I wouldn't respect them. Chelsea said, Chelsea, United, City, Liverpool, whatever. Y'all got Champions League now. The legality of the way the City and Chelsea won it is up for debate. Not Chelsea. Chelsea actually cheated. Like, it's actually been proven that they cheated. But I'm not allowing teams like Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace. And Palace really pissed me off. I thought we was homies. I was rooting for y'all to win the Conference League last year. I thought we was in good together. I thought we won London. But apparently, y'all ops. And that's just, it's just crazy. But they know that the time is coming. And that's why they're so over the top with it. They really thought that people were going to go into that parade on Sunday and be somber. We won the league, which was the number one objective this year. Like, yeah, the Champions League would have been awesome. And I'm not calling it a free hit. I do view it as a very massive missed opportunity and something we could look back on 5 years from now like we fucked it. That was our one last chance. I mean, it took us 20 years to get back to this. I'm not saying that that's not the case. But the number one objective was to win the Premier League. That's not even a question. In fact, most Arsenal fans treated the Champions League this year like it was a Carabao Cup. I didn't. I wasn't in that camp. But a lot of them did. And that's why all of a sudden now some of them are disappointed. I'm like, save me the tears. You didn't even care about this competition 3 weeks ago. But whatever. I'm not going to go off on a tangent. The point is this, that they see what's coming. They see where this team can be. Now, the team has to go out there and do it. Winning it is one thing. You can win the league the way you played that this year. If we play the same way we did this year, attacking-wise, it's not going to work out for you. You're going to be somebody who just won a title every 20 years. And I believe they're going to put the money in. But I was disappointed, but the parade healed my soul, man, to see all those happy people. And you could kind of feel the vibe when the players were getting on the buses to begin with, that they were somber because they just lost a massive game. But once they saw that hero's welcome from the crowd out there, it switched everybody's mood. Switched their mood, switched my mood. I forgot what I was even upset about. And, to see them get drunk and just really chill for the first time was enjoyable. And it was like 2 Excedrin when you have it's like 2 Excedrin and a bottle of Gatorade on the morning when you have a headache or a migraine. It was awesome. And they know it's coming. I know it's coming. I do believe they're going to win the Champions League real soon. I think there's going to be major investment in this team this summer to get a higher attacking quality. And there's going to have to be some casuals. I think there's going to be a surprising transfer this year. And what I mean by surprising, Martin Odegaard or Victor Gyökeres would not surprise. And nobody's saying that. Don't try to report me to it. I'm just saying I believe there's going to be a very surprising transfer this summer and probably going to be a fan favorite to get where you got to go. You've won the Premier League now. You set yourself up, even if you didn't add much, to still be in contention for the Premier League because your other rivals are in transition. I'm not one of the people who think the City's going to be bad next year. I know a lot of people think they're going to be bad because there's no more Pep there. They still have the tech. They still have the players. You still got Erling Haaland. who's probably the best striker in Europe. You still got um, Jeremy Doku. You still got Antoine Semenyo. You still got Mark Gahey. And guys like that. I don't think Enzo Maresca is a great coach, but I also don't think he's bad. I think they can at least still compete. Liverpool, they've got a big question mark around them. They got to let go. They got to replace a lot of people, and they're going to be bringing in a new head coach, probably Ariola from Bournemouth. But you never know how that goes. Managing a small club like Bournemouth, and they had a great year, is much different from managing a top three biggest club in world football. There's a different pressure when you are the Liverpool manager, when you're the Man United manager, when you're the Arsenal manager, or the Barcelona manager, or Real Madrid. You get what I'm saying? Those, in my opinion, are the top five biggest clubs in the world. So it's different when you're managing that. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for Liverpool. Chelsea, they don't even have European football, which is the funniest thing about them talking. It's about Champions Europe. You'll never see that. You're not even going to be singing Conference League next year. You don't have like 3 week gaps where you don't even have a game, but whatever. Um, that is, with all of that, they know that what's happening in Arsenal is going to be a problem for them. So overall, I don't, I'm over the game. I think that we're going to get it soon, though. But I want to talk about the year in general. I'm not going to spend too much time in. Actually, my camera battery is getting low. This idiot didn't charge it. But and I'm no longer doing audio for this show, too. I feel like this is a podcast. We got to kind of see my facial expressions and stuff to a certain points that I'm saying. So yeah, if you listen to the audio, I apologize. But this was a great year. Not the most entertaining year, but it was a great year. There was many times where this team could have folded, and they didn't. We kept hearing about mentality monsters and the Emirates gets nervous from everywhere, and to come up over that, and especially after the loss with City, and they be like, "This is a big shootout. It's gonna go to the final week. This is what City does." Da 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 da. Everybody talking crazy, and then they were the ones who dropped points, not once but 2 times, and we were the ones who were undefeated. I just gotta give love to him. Mikel Arteta, he has a chance right now to be one of the greatest managers ever. And I'm so glad he got the league because there was so much dumb stuff written and said about my manager that they just got to shut up now. With Pep gone, he is the best manager in the Premier League. In fact, he's the only Premier League manager currently who has a Premier League championship. So it's going to be able to see that. I think the next year you're just going to see so much more freedom with this team, even before they add additions, because that big monkey is off their back, man. So shout out to them, man. It was a challenging year, but a good year, and they got the job done. I'm gonna wrap this up because I've been going 30 minutes. And I didn't want this episode to be too long. My 5 things I learned this Premier League season, my first full Premier League season. Number 1, and these are no numerical order, by the way. It's kind of just moving out there. Football banter is weird. It's weird and over the top, and consumed by bots online. There's bots in every pocket of Twitter, like NFL Twitter, NBA Twitter, whatever. Usually people with the players or the coach in their advocate are bots or their children, and these are people we let rage bait us. And when I say we, I'm including me in that we. But that's number 1. Number 2, every game is not do or die, but at the same time it is. And I'm explaining on that. I feel like every game this year, it was big game, must win. Got to keep the pressure up for the title race. Got to stay in the title race. Got to keep the distance. They got to lose. They got to win this to stay in it. Every game ain't serious, but every game is, because you can look at a game that's early in the season. I think it was match week 4 or 5 when City came to the Emirates. Erling Haaland scored very early, and they parked the bus the rest of the game. Do not let a City fan lie to you. They parked the bus the rest of the game. And we just happened to get lucky with a Martinelli equalizer in stoppage time. And that 2 points literally won us the league. So it means every game is important, but it's not at the same time. That's number 2. Number 3 is that Chelsea are the worst fans in English football. I don't even have to explain it. If you know, you know. 4, the season doesn't start to the holiday period. Season doesn't start to the holiday period. If you get to the run in, which is end of March, early April, and you're in it, you're in the title race. I mean, when you're striking distance, you're in the title race. And then final thing that I learned this season, the Premier League is the most competitive league in sports. And I say this as somebody who's a diehard NFL fan who works in the NFL. Now, obviously, I know people who detract that are going to say, well, out of the last 10 champions, 7 of them have been the same team, which has been Manchester City. And the other 2 are from Liverpool, and then the last one from Arsenal. Fair play. But I also at the same time think that there's no reason that 2-time Premier League champion like Virgil van Dijk, the greatest manager of all time, in my opinion, Pep Guardiola, coming out saying this is the toughest the league has ever been. Because you can get got wherever. Even look at a team who was as historically bad as the Wolves. They were putting dents in dude's season. And when they drew at us, they beat Liverpool, they beat Chelsea. They were just ruining people's years for like a month. They were tough. You know, you got teams who come up now, teams like Sunderland. They're spending money, man. They're in Europa next year. It's a big thing for them. And so you can't just look at these, relegation fodder teams and think that's an easy bump or that's a homecoming victory. That West Ham game at home on the road was maybe the toughest game we played all year. You can get got, bro. You can get got by Everton on a Monday night at Sam Dickinson, which is exactly what happened to Manchester City. You know what I'm saying? You can let Brighton come to your crib and beat you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes it the best. I mean, I don't know, not the best league. I still think NFL is the most entertaining league, but it's the most competitive league. And that's the number 5 thing I learned this year, that it's a great league. And final one. This is a honorary mention. Honorable mention. 3 of the other 4 top 5 UEFA leagues are farmer leagues. I hate to say it, but it is. PSG knows they're gonna win league out right now. They don't even know who's gonna be on their team next year. That's how shit that is. Arsenal I think they have like 20,000 less minutes than PSG have as a team coming into the Champions League final. That's asinine. And Dembele won Player of the Year, and he started 9 times. Like, what are we talking about? Bundesliga is the Bayern Munich Invitation. They've won 11 out of the last 12 Bundesliga titles. Miss me. How do you if you're just a Bundesliga fan, how do you watch that? Like, honestly, it's boring. Serie A is Italian football is in the dirt right now. It's just everything about it is bad. But one thing about Serie A is competitive. You know what I'm saying? And then, La Liga. I won't call La Liga a farmers league per se. But let's be real about it. Transfer window ain't even open yet. We don't know who's going to be on Madrid. We don't know who's going to be on Barcelona next year. But I bet my house that the La Liga champion next year is either going to be Barcelona or Madrid. Occasionally every 10 years you get an Atleti who wins the league. But it is the Barca, it is the El Clasico league. La Liga sponsored by El Clasico. That's what it should be. That should be the name of the league. Premier League, man, it's a different beast. It's a different beast. So anyway, that's all I got for this episode, man. Next week we will be back for World Cup for Dummies. Me and Toast will be breaking that down, talking about things you expect from the World Cup, man. So follow me at Barchair Scott. Please press subscribe. Come on, you Gunners. Let's have a good summer and let's win the Champions League next year. Run this thing back. I'll holler at y'all, man. I'm out of here.